Mike Davenport.
Here.
Christopher Espinoza. I'm sorry, not yet. Okay. Jenny Hagstrom.
Here.
Terry Pavasich.
Here.
Nancy Kupka.
Here. We have a quorum. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll start this evening with approval of minutes. We need a motion to approve the May 16th, 2022 business meeting and the June 6th, 2022 workshop meeting with action items.
So moved.
Second.
Terry and Mike?
Thank you very much. Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye. The minutes carried.
Thank you.
We'll move to the first reception of visitors. The meeting agenda includes 2 opportunities for comments from the audience. The first reception of visitors is intended for audience members to address the board about any agenda item on which the board will vote. And I believe there's a list of the topics. Do you not have it? There we go. The second reception of visitors is intended for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes to provide all visitors an equal opportunity to address the board. Individuals needing more time should submit their thoughts in writing to the board secretary, Mrs. Nidak. Visitors addressing the board need to submit a comment slip to the board secretary and will be invited to the microphone. Prior to addressing the board, audience members should state their full name. The proceedings are being tape recorded for the purpose of producing accurate meeting minutes, and this is being live streamed. I reserve the right to modify these protocols if circumstances warrant, and audience observation of these protocols is appreciated.
We have one speaker for an action item.
Okay.
Laura Hoist.
Good evening. I'm Laura Hoist. I'm asking that 2 items on the agenda, recommendations for action, be postponed for a vote at a later date. 7A, approval of Illinois State Board of Education Consolidated District Plan, and 7C, approval of DuPage Area Occupational Educational System Intergovernmental Agreement. I was unaware of either of these measures, so I think we need time as parents and residents to weigh in and know what these mean. They appear to increase government control and expenses and are consistent with a global agenda. First, we ask that 7A be postponed to allow for public review and comment on the proposed ISBE Consolidated District Plan, which seeks to comply with federal grant requirements, address how D99 will use grant and other funding sources, Title I, low income, Title II, professional development, 3, language instruction, Spanish to English, 4, academic enrichment, and lastly, Part B, IDEA, ESSER funds. As anyone who has ever applied for a grant knows, grant making is an expression of power by those with resources over those seeking them. And by definition, a grant exists as a privilege to be won and usually results in rewarding of some and denial of others. So we're interested in knowing what this means. D99 seeks to comply with federal grant requirements to keep money flowing in, while parents and residents need to know exactly what these requirements are and what this means for us and our children. Does it mean more equity, SEL, and anti-racist practices? What exactly does timely graduation, foster care transportation, professional development, safe learning environment mean in light of the recent masking, lockdowns, vaccine discrimination, and punitive measures denying students their rights? Secondly, we ask you to postpone a vote on 7C, an intergovernmental agreement which will create a DuPage area occupational education system to develop a regional education for employment program. While some of this sounds good, we need to know what it's going to cost taxpayers. I may be alone, but I've not heard or seen anything about this for the reason that many families do not have big salaries and need to know what this means in terms of higher taxes and how our students would be affected. If grant monies are utilized, how will these programs reward some and deny others, perhaps? Or will equality of opportunity rule and be provided for all families? Again, we are respectfully requesting postponement of these measures and more communication to the parents and residents of District 99 as to these 2 measures. We know that the emphasis has been on equality of outcome, equity, et cetera, and that's a concern to many of us. Thank you.
The next one is for the next reception of visitors.
Okay.
All right, we're going to head into the superintendent reports, but before I do that, today is a very special day. It is Ed's last board meeting. So, yeah, tears from Ed back there. So, I'd like to just have all of us recognize Ed for a wonderful career and for all your service. I know you don't want me to go into details, but I will thank you. Thank you, Ed. Your countdown is done. Ed didn't count down time with kids. He counted board meetings. All right, a few end-of-the-year type of items this evening. The first is the end-of-the-year goal summary. As the board is aware, we start out the beginning of the year over the summer with goals, which will bring you draft ones at our next meeting. And then we go through the year. The board is kept up to date through communications throughout the school year and at public meetings. And then this document becomes the summary for the end of the year. The board was provided this. Got a little bit of feedback from the board and administration, made some changes. This is the final public document that then goes on our website under our just rolling strategic plan, documents of goals and year-end summaries. If there's any questions from board members, I'll take them at this point. Otherwise, this will become the document that we file as the administration on the website.
Sounds good to me.
All good? Yes. All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Item B is Scott's. This is our annual revisions of the student handbook. We typically bring activities and athletics, but there's no changes recommended in that one this year. This is up as an action item this evening, and as always, the student handbook then becomes essentially board policy once it's approved by the board. Scott's here to answer any questions that board members might have about any of these changes.
Can I just highlight one of them just to make sure the
Go ahead.
board, so if you noticed on it's like the third one down about the tardies going from 20 minutes to 10 minutes. Just wanted to make sure everyone knew that. That'll help us just keep it consistent and define how we, support students that are running tardy and things like that. I just wanted to put that one out there since it's a big change
Good
from
change.
20 to 10. So,
10 minutes can make a big difference.
yeah.
Yep.
I did have one question.
Yeah.
I know we struck village ordinance fine. Did we ever have a village ordinance fine?
I don't believe we really did it. That's why we were cleaning up, I think, the language on that. I don't recall any that we've had.
We didn't, but the village did.
Right.
But there was a law that was passed a couple of years ago that eliminates all of those
Right.
at school and in the village, so it just clean up.
Right, yeah.
All right. The next item, school wellness policy implementation review. There is a small line in board policy, what policy is it? It's got
It's 6.50, yeah.
that we need to provide an update to the board each year on the food service. We've talked about food service all year, so this year's report is kind of relatively short, provides a kind of an overview of some of the key takeaways from this year.
Yeah.
And overall, it was a very successful program this year. Jeree and our folks in the buildings really did a nice job of pulling off a major change this year with great feedback from students on it. So any questions on that one?
Well, these are all positive. I know in the
Yeah.
past we've addressed some negative ones, but there
Well,
have
the
been few, I
biggest,
think.
yeah, making the change this year addressed a lot of the negative that we've
Yeah.
heard in the past. So,
Well, you can tell by the bottom line,
yes, absolutely.
you know,
Yep,
so that was a good thing.
all right. The next one is the ISB Consolidated District Plan. I will turn this over to Gina to provide a summary and an update on this one.
So the Consolidated District Plan, we're required to submit one annually. I know the board has seen it many times before. We've been doing this last several years. I want to point out just a few changes from previous years. We have an increase in our dual credit courses. I listed them as 10. We have a few that are in the works that I'm hoping we'll be able to pull off and get approval for by August. So that number could change or change throughout the course of the year, but that has increased. We have increased EL programming, and the other change is we are moving, and this relates to the Title I plan as well, but the Title I plan is also encompassed in the CDP. We're moving from being a school-wide program at South High School to a targeted assistance program. In order to be school-wide, you need to be at 40% or apply for a waiver. You have to be at 20%, so between 20 and 40% to even apply for the waiver. And we are hovering around 19%. So we will go back to being a targeted assistance program, which is the biggest change to our Title I plan as well.
So for clarity, this is something we've done every year,
Do every year, we're required.
discuss it every year.
Gina meets
And-
with staff.
That's right.
With parents.
You just highlighted the changes from
The
the thing that
changes,
we've been
the
doing.
big changes, yes.
And this is something that's been posted.
And these are not competitive grants, these are the federal grants, most of them issued to districts based on free and reduced lunch.
And this went in on our agenda, when was the public
Well, the
first made
agenda was
aware?
posted last Thursday at midnight, so it's been up all weekend.
Okay.
Yep, as required by law.
You said that we're hovering right around 19.
19.5.
Think that we would get to 20?
So I've been monitoring that regularly, and we've taken all kinds of steps to ensure that families are applying as needed, and we have not gotten to the 20%. We also are facing reduction in our Title I funds. So some of the things that we would have been able to provide because we were school-wide,
Right.
due to the reduction in funds, we will not be able to provide anyway. So I'm not overly concerned about being targeted assistance. We ran a targeted assistance
did.
program for a number of
A
years.
lot of
It's only
years.
been maybe the last 3 or 4 that we've had the school-wide option. So we'll be reverting back to target assistance.
And this is a standing agenda item every year at this point.
Right.
If you were to go back in time, you could see how this
Correct.
plan has changed and developed each year to year. It's all public documents.
The only other change is that they added ESSER ARP in terms of one of the grants that we need to acknowledge some of the work that we're doing. And that's in the summary doc, and we were doing much of that work last year as well,
Anyway,
our grants.
all right. I just thought if we were close, maybe.
I know,
should-
we were close. We were.
Gina and Jeree and the building teams worked to just make sure that any
So
student that
close.
we thought, might not have submitted the paperwork and submitted, had done so or was encouraged to do so, but that's where we ended up at.
So you contacted them?
Yeah, we reached
We
out
jumped
directly.
Almost 2%.
Yeah, by reaching out that way.
2% is still a lot, I mean, when you think about it.
That helps
so-
families.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That's
then,
the goal, is to help families.
Since this was brought up in public comment as something that suggested we might delay, our options here are to approve it or to not approve it. If we didn't approve it, then what?
We would have to bring it back in July. We have to have submitted an
right,
approved
yes,
plan
it's kind of-
in order to put in our application for the other grants. So for example, the Title I, II, and IV grant, which is open now, cannot be submitted until July 1st. But we have to submit the CDP, the Consolidated District Plan, prior to submitting that application. So it would just delay
Everything.
But
some things. It wouldn't change the questions or the answers because we have to answer with what we're
So
doing.
we're required.
Yes,
We have to. right?
yes,
So-
we have to submit
That's a key.
My point.
Consolidated District Plan.
And then, of course, if there was non-compliance, there would be lack of funds,
Correct.
but
Yes.
still obligation to comply with the law.
I-
So yeah,
Depending on how long we delayed, yes.
right. So I just,
And programming for the start of the school year could be impacted.
Yes.
so this is something that, ultimately, we don't really have a whole lot of choice about. It's just about following guidelines, following the law, and putting a plan together that complies with the law, and we try to do it in a way that makes the best sense and takes advantage financially, as well as, strategically helping the students that need by doing this, and that's what you've presented here
Yeah,
this
and Gina-
evening, as you do every year.
Gina puts a great deal of amount of work into this, along with many other staff members, to get to this point. This isn't something that was written last week.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
All right, the Title I plan, this is also related to what Gina was just talking about. I'll let her go on about this one.
So the Title I plan, you have to answer some of the same questions that are in the Consolidated District Plan. There's even sections of the Consolidated District Plan that have some of the same questions. So you'll see a lot of similarities between the two documents. Again, the biggest changes is increase in dual credit courses, which has been a board goal, and the change or reverting back to being a targeted assistance program versus the school-wide program. And as I said before, with the reduction in funds, I think we can operate a targeted assistance program and not a school-wide without any real challenges. We have been school-wide for the last few years, but we have experienced target assistance for many years before that. Those are the biggest changes to our Title I plan. You're not required every year to write a Title I plan, only when there have been significant changes. And reverting back to target assistance from school-wide would be considered a significant change.
It's actually kind of a good change, isn't it?
Well, yes and
School-wide,
no.
I mean, it's a barometer, I mean, not, maybe not for us,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
for the community.
For the, it's a good,
Yes.
It's a good barometer
indicator
for
that the
the-
community's heading in a more fiscally
Yeah.
stable direction, yes. But it does mean a reduction of funds for us, so that's why Gina has to work through all of this and figure out what we
Right.
continue to support and what we change. But yeah, overall, that's our constant conversation of, well, that's good news, but,
It's bad.
but we got, we have to figure this out now, of how we change as a result of that.
Well, it is what it is, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Regretfully.
Yeah.
All right, so DEOS, the Intergovernmental Agreement, as the board is aware from the memo that's posted in the public content of the board, it explains this in detail of what this involves. So this is Technology Center of DuPage is DEOS, which has been in existence since
1986.
1986.
I
Has
believe.
the
Or this is
agreement
not-
been in place since then too, yes?
What's that?
The agreement has been in place.
Since
There has
1986.
been an agreement in place since
Right.
1986, yes.
So I just
So,
would point out
but
this is
that
not a new-
agreement
Yep.
did not contain a dissolution
For break-
process. So if TCD should go away, which District 99 was a founding member of TCD, there needs to be, the auditors said there needs to be a process for how you would break up all of those assets, the property, and come up with a process, knowing that, like, we're an original founding member and other districts came in later, but some districts have had more students enrolled there, so they've paid more tuition over the years. So Gina worked pretty much all school year with the DEOS board and attorneys to come together with the intergovernmental agreement that's there today. DEOS is, the leadership at DEOS has agreed to bring this forward to each of their member boards. We're recommending that the board adopt this. It reflects the fact that we were original founding member. There's nothing indicating that TCD is going to go away. This is very much, auditor's financial kind of checkbox that needs to be in place for TCD. So this would just approve kind of that agreement from our end into the IGA. All of the member schools will, I'm assuming, do the same, and then there will be a documented process if there's ever a dissolution of TCD. If you have questions on the actual language or specifics, Gina is the expert on that.
And our attorneys looked at this as well and are recommending that we
We
would.
looked at it from the beginning and said, yes, there absolutely needs to be dissolution language, and it has to be respective of those districts like ours that were founding members and balance between enrollment. We are also a district that sends a significant number of students, and I'm happy to report more students
Yes.
next year
Yes.
than I think we've ever sent, but I can tell you in the last 18 years, we ever sent. I've been trying to find documents from before that, but it's been a little bit more challenging. But we're up to 170 students,
Terrific.
Fabulous.
starting in August.
Got a niece that's going.
So, and that's almost 50 more than this year.
Wow.
Oh,
Almost,
great.
not quite, but almost. So,
That's just.
so I'm
terrific.
very pleased to report that.
Yeah, So,
I'll tell you, to be honest with you, that is one of the best programs that we have available for our students. It is just so helpful for them, and especially And it's not just whether they want to use their college experience or whatever, but if they want to find out if they really like that career.
It's exactly what my niece is doing, is just to see if she likes it, to
Yeah.
determine whether or not that's what she wants to study in college. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not always an alternative to,
No,
Yeah.
no, but then our students also receive the benefit of sometimes a whole year or 2 years of apprenticeship for a career that
Yeah.
they would be happy in. And I'll tell you, I would be really sad if we ever disillusioned them.
And that's not the plan. That's not the plan.
something's growing. and-
Because
Right.
it is so valuable to our students and to the community. I mean, they don't seem to realize that plumber that they may have to call to fix whatever might have gotten their start at TCD and found out that they really enjoyed that and want to make that their career choice. So whatever we need to help them is what we need to do.
Yeah.
So,
So
sorry,
this-
didn't mean to get on my
This is up for
soapbox.
approval this evening to enter into that agreement.
And I would just, because this was also something that was brought up in public comment, and, so the way to think about this is this is an agreement that we've had for a long time. The only thing changing about it is the fact that an auditor said, hey, there needs to be some sort of process involved for how to take this thing apart, and a fair and equitable way to do that. Attorneys have been involved, and it's been looked at and reviewed, and there's really not a whole lot to debate here. And certainly not something I think that people need to have more time to consider. I certainly don't, as one of the people who has to vote on it, so that's it.
All right. The next one is property liability and insurance renewals. This is Mark's.
If you, can you put
One more
the,
slide.
yeah, the graph up?
There we go.
Usually, red numbers on a graph is bad. In this case, they're good. We had a very unusual, tough year. A lot of cost coverage, like for anything in like a building for a car, has gone way up because of the cost of, my daughter had someone run in the back of her car. Her car took 3 months for them to replace the back end of the car. And she's buying a rental every day, so it's that kind of a world right now. And so they know it, and they're pushing high on all the premiums. Where we had a lot of success was we shopped very hard on the workers' comp plan. And you can see right there, it's 100, the grouping on the top left is combined. I should have started with that. District 99 and our largest feeder, District 58, combine to get this coverage, and it gives those carriers a bigger market for us, for them to hit into, and it gives us a little more room in any kind of problems that we have. We rarely meet any maximums in terms of liability. Workers' comp, though, was one that we've worked hard, and actually our broker works with us. They also follow down if there's a workers' compensation claim. They make sure that we filed it properly. They push the attorneys. They try and take care of it quickly. And between the district and the broker, we've done a good job with those claims. And you can see for the District 99, it's a 24% reduction in the workers' comp from the second one from the bottom, 24% reduction in the policy, and it's our biggest policy. So what it did is it covered all of the losses basically, and all the other premiums going up, basically. Virtually all of them went up. And what it did is it gave us room to finally access a new, not a new policy, but new to us, a policy of primary coverage, which is, I think it can be wonderful for our families and for individuals that come here. If a student ever tripped or fell, or let's say a student gets hurt in PE class, and his parents don't have coverage or insurance, they call us and say, we have no coverage and we can't do anything. We are going to get a policy that will have a zero deductible if the board approves it. The annual cost is $34,511. It'll cover people who are volunteers to us. Basically, workers' comp covers anybody employed by us. And basically, anybody else, if somebody trips in, don't everybody do this, trips and falls somewhere leaving, and it's a severe injury, typically it's over $1,000 in terms of the claim. And this would cover everything, volunteers, people that are here visiting, watching a game, and it's a very comprehensive plan. So other schools have done this, we're not the first one to do this, and so we've talked to them, they say it works pretty well. And there's really not that much. This is one where we would, again, turn it over to the broker, and it's part of his job to handle these claims. We identify it, record what's happened, and then pass it on to them, and they follow it through the system with the carriers. So bottom line, the total amount for us is if you look at District 99, those are combined policies with 58. These are separate policies that we have, like the cyber coverage. We have different networks. We have different technical pieces to our software and our policies. So that we do that separately. It doesn't make sense to combine the two. The 99 Foundation, there's a small one that really covers their administration or their board members for just something like if they want to rent a property or when they want to come for pizza wars on our property, it would cover them if there was a liability against that, something happened. If they're planning a couple more things, like with the lunch trucks, I think.
Well, the food trucks.
Food trucks, right?
Yeah.
So that allows them to bring them onto our policy. So it's a very lightweight policy. And actually, I passed on to, just recently though, but to who's your treasurer?
Diane Richards.
Diane Richards, there we go, thank you. To Diane, there's another carrier, a broker that specializes in nonprofits. And so I gave it to them, because there's other things they could get insured for, like theft and things that, in brokerage. So that's one that the other schools don't have. So we really put together all of the programs we think can benefit the two of us if better combined. And it's worked well, and it's been in place for more than 30 years, because I inherited it when I came in. So it's a good system. And so our total, the impact to District 99 that we're proposing is $776,613 for renewing the policies we have in place and adding the new primary care coverage for $34,511.
With a
See
good
it as
red
an
number.
action item.
An action item with the good red number.
Yeah.
Right?
Is there some reason we don't also partner with our other center
I was
schools?
going to ask the same question.
Well, it gets a little more complicated, and they have to have pretty good systems inside, and they always have it. Now, I think they have come to that point, so it's a good, we have had conversations with them, and,
Particularly 60.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was going to say
68.
68.
That would be the one where we had conversations with Kurt. So it's possible that we would do that, we just didn't choose to do it this year.
Well, maybe in the future we could look at that.
Yeah. Right. He's part of a group already, so he has to get out of the group, and before he can go to another or send to a different setup, so there's a time for that, you can't just walk away from
They're part of a different cooperative.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and some of our other sender districts are not only us that they send to, so
Yeah.
it would be a little more complicated,
Right.
in that regard, so.
68 would seem to be a good fit.
That'd
Yeah.
be the one.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
The timing and whatever deals they're in, but maybe it's something to bring up. Because it begs the question, right? If by combining with 58, we get a better deal, if we bring even more in, does that help? And I have to ask, what is foreign accident
Oh,
insurance?
we do, we have a group of kids that are going out
So
of
that's
the
for
country.
family travel.
That's
Yeah.
Insurance.
workers' comp
Yeah.
on the teachers, basically,
All right.
and then those individuals. And it's a policy we only put in place when we're putting a group out of the country, and there's one going to Costa Rica.
They're
They're
right
there
now.
right
They're right now?
Hopefully they made it.
Last Thursday.
Okay.
First one.
I wasn't aware that we did that. I thought maybe it was
Does
something.
that bring
We
them
usually
back?
just like
You
for the
know,
German,
per
we
event.
swap with the Germans and go there and,
Got it.
okay, thank you.
Good news. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely.
All right, the next one is our annual bulk purchasing of CMG supplies. Jim has provided you a memo. I'll let him give you the highlights.
Okay, Mark, I think I pulled a hamstring out
You're already covered.
Wait,
Let's try.
you know, we don't have that policy approved yet, so it's not like we've signed it. So if
Yeah,
you
this is
trip
for
on
next
the
year.
outside, you're out of luck.
my hand. It's free. Before I get into bulk purchasing, normally in this meeting, I bring copy paper, so I want to inform you on what happened with copy paper. First and foremost, it is extremely high right now and hard to get. So I went out to bid, bids came in very high as I expected. So I'm rejecting those bids because I cross-reference, as I do each year, to our state bidders that won the copy paper. And every year, usually our bidders for the public bid are lower than the state bid. This year was complete opposite. So I'm gonna go ahead and move forward and award it to the vendor Midland. They're the winning state bid, give them a purchase order. They're gonna be able to supply and get it here on time and save us about $17,000. So I just wanted to please give you that information that copy paper was bid out and purchased.
Can I ask a question about copy paper? It's tangential, so I apologize, but, you know, when we went to Chromebooks, one of the ideas was that we would really diminish our use of paper.
We have.
We
I think
have, 'cause
every
know
year we do.
every year we
Yeah.
have, and I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
as our copy paper keeps climbing.
If we go back to the prior year's memos, just because the regular bid process, we didn't go through, every year I provide you the prior year,
Right.
this year, and every year I've been here, we've reduced in the amount of paper we've used.
And actually, even with some more printers through the MFP that have been added to the newly built areas, or big buildings now,
Sure.
we're still
We're still below.
trending lower. We're doing great.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, so,
Okay, CMG, so just to familiarize you with what products for grounds, fertilizer, salt, we do all custodial supplies, we also do filters, so our list has expanded over the years. We have hundreds of items that these vendors bid on, so it's really worked. We really have good competition. This year, there was 13 bidders, and believe it or not, first year ever, every one of them won something. So, and nobody was like really high and the other really low. They're all very competitive. So we'll be giving, hopefully, with your approval, purchase orders to these vendors, all 13 of them. And they're familiar bidders, a couple new ones, but we went through their bids and met our requirements. So tonight we'll ask for a total amount of $141,556.64 for CMG supplies.
Jim, I didn't see in your memo if this is within budget expectation?
It is. Believe it or not, I'll take it back 10 years ago, our budget was $200,000. And we really brought it down, and even this year, so factor in when we were getting supplies, we got some for free through COVID. Now we have to
Yeah.
buy those.
Yeah.
So it went up a little bit. Our buildings are bigger, it went up a little bit. Each year teeter-totters back and forth. We kind of go through supplies, then we have to, 2 years later, inventory and get some more, and then some are left over. So it's really tricky. We try not to store a ton of stuff. Salt is one we like to store, so, because sometimes it just goes out and can't get it
Yep.
anywhere. But we're still trending within budget. We're doing well.
Good deal. Thank you.
Jim.
all right, this is an action item later on this evening.
Freedom of information.
FOIA requests, we've received them, we responded to them, and as always, they're available on our website. If you search for FOIA, you can find this little one that the arrow points to, and in there is a spreadsheet that lists all of the requests and all of the responses.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the consent agenda as presented, which includes The personnel report, appointment administration, appointment certified, appointment classified, transfer of position classified. The personnel report, retirements classified, resignations exempt, resignations classified. The personnel report, termination classified. The personnel report, salary increase for administration and CMG. The financial pages, the adoption of CTE accounting textbook, the property and liability insurance renewals, the approval of district depositories and resolution authorizing depositories, resolution approving surety bond of treasurer, resolution approving treasurer's surety bonds for the Series 2020 general obligation bonds, resolution approving treasurer's special surety bonds for Series 2018 general obligation bonds, the acceptance of donation from District 99 Education Foundation, the acceptance of donation from the District Roadrunners, Inc., and resolution of nomination for membership on the Downers Grove Planning Committee. Before we get a motion, I would like to, if there's anything else any of the other board members would like to extract, please feel free. But I would like to recognize the acceptance of donation from the District 99 Foundation, which is about $4,500? Thereabouts, for some programs within our schools, and from the Downers Grove Roadrunners, which was $12,500.
Yes, that was a very
For-
nice
Going
donation.
for Young Hearts for Life.
Young Hearts for Life and for special education.
Yeah, there's some twists with that, so the district is going to have to pick up the rest, so.
Still, it's a
Actually,
much
Or-
appreciated.
they covered the entire cost that wasn't covered already, so.
Yes, oh, perfect,
Yep.
perfect, so.
So we're very
Because that's a
grateful.
really good program, and I would hate to.
So between the Ed Foundation and
Downers Grove
the Roadrunners,
Mhm.
the full cost for Young Hearts for Life was covered, and then the Roadrunners also gave an additional donation for our special education programs.
Yes.
Very generous.
So very.
And we're very
thank you.
grateful for
And
them.
then the Ed
And-
Foundation was learning grants.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of the community members who contributed.
Just want to interrupt real quick. We had one add to the personnel report this morning.
Okay.
It's one additional hire, so it's in your documents here, but it's Jose Aliaga for a .2 PE and health ed.
Okay.
It's been updated this morning.
Okay.
Since you saw it on Thursday.
Thanks, Rick.
I move to accept what you just read, Nancy.
I will second her
Consent
motion
agenda.
to approve the consent agenda.
Terry and Mike.
But it's with a heavy heart. Kristen is leaving us, so I have a heavy heart with that. So.
I agree wholeheartedly. Julie?
Did we have a second? I'm sorry.
It was
I didn't-
Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
Terry and Mike.
Terry and Mike.
Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the consent agenda carries. Next, we'll move to the recommendations for action. First, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the District 99 Consolidated District Plan as presented for submission to the Illinois State Board of Education.
So moved.
Second.
Terry and Mike.
Thank you. Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the Title I plan as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mike and, Terry and Mike.
Thank you. Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the motion is carried. Next, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the proposed DEOS Intergovernmental Agreement as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mike and Terry.
It's the Mike and Terry show.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Isn't
Terry
it always?
Pavasich.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the changes to the student parent handbook as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mike and Terry.
Thank you. Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the motion carries. And finally, a motion for the Board of Education to approve award of contract for custodial maintenance and ground supplies to the noted vendors in the aggregate amount of $141,556.64.
So moved.
Ooh.
Terry.
I thought Jenny was gonna try to.
I could feel it.
Yeah.
She's, yeah,
You didn't.
move fast.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the motion carries. Moving on to new business, we have the first reading of the board policy grading and promotion.
This is a small change. It's actually taking a policy that was more specific to District 99 and making it in line with press. It aligns, the press policy actually aligns with the practices we'd like to use going forward. Since it was this small change and going back to press, we did consult with Mike and Sherelle as to whether or not we could just bring it to the whole board for first and second reading. They felt that that was appropriate to do so. So this is the first reading for the board to know that it's there and the public to know that it's there. And then if you have questions, the best person to reach out to would be Gina. Over the next month, this will come back to the board at our July 11th board meeting, hopefully for approval, assuming that there aren't major concerns raised by board members between now and then.
I have a question. Do we define freshman, sophomore, junior, senior elsewhere, or do we even need to define it?
We do not need to reclassify students as outlined in the policy.
Okay,
We're not
Okay.
required to.
thank you. That's my question.
Any other questions? All right, so this will be back in July. If you do have urgent questions,
Gina?
please reach out to Gina directly. And of course, per our protocols, copy me. All right.
Moving on to our second reception of visitors. This is the second reception of visitors, which is intended for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes to provide all visitors an equal opportunity to address the board. Individuals needing more time should submit their thoughts in writing to the board secretary, Mrs. Nidak. Visitors addressing the board need to submit a comment slip to the board secretary and will be invited to the microphone. Prior to addressing the board, audience members should state their name, their full name. The proceedings are being tape recorded for the purpose of producing accurate meeting minutes, and we are being live streamed. I reserve the right to modify these protocols if circumstances warrant. Audience observation of these protocols is appreciated. Thank you.
We have one comment slip for the second reception of visitors, Mr. Noel Manley.
Good evening. My name is Noel Manley, and I'm a resident of Darien, Illinois. The United States is a country filled with systemic love and kindness, and District 99 is a community filled with systemic love and kindness. I want to acknowledge the board's June 6, 2022 unanimous vote to keep the book Genderqueer in District 99 libraries. I have to say that I was very impressed with the lockstep vote that went with absolutely no debate or discussion from board members. Clearly, the pornographic imagery and the graphic sexual descriptions are the type of children's literature endorsed by every member of this board. This action gave me pause to ask the question, what is the mission of this administration and board? Is it to educate children or engage in social engineering? So for answers, I turned to the $27,000 District 99 2020 Equity Audit Report. It's important to note that the Equity Audit Report, as you might expect, skews towards the nebulous concept of equity and away from academic rigor. However, the report does identify some important statistics that point toward a general pre-COVID downward trend in academic performance in the district. For example, on page 42, the multi-grade average of PSAT and SAT assessment reading by ethnicity and race demonstrates a downward trend in reading scores in all ethnic and racial groups for the period 2015 through 2019. These numbers get even worse when you drill down into the specialized groups. But we have genderqueer in our libraries. On page 44, the multi-grade average of the PSAT, SAT assessment in math by race and ethnicity demonstrates the same downward trend for all ethnic and racial groups in the district. Again, these numbers get worse when you do the drill down. But take heart, we have genderqueer in our library. So with genderqueer, intersectionality videos, transgenderism lectures, white supremacy signage, people of color field trips, etc., one has to ask, what is the mission of the district? If the mission is to engage in social engineering and virtue signaling in the name of equity, this board is an administration that gets high marks. However, the mission of the board and administration is to educate children and prepare them for the next step in their education. This district is failing. It is failing children of all racial and ethnic groups. It is failing their parents, and it is failing taxpayers. But at least we have genderqueer in our libraries. Thank you.
All right, that was our only comment slip.
We have one more comment.
Oh.
Thank you, sir.
Let me get back to the timer here.
Sure. Yeah.
My name is Joseph Levan. I am a relatively newer resident of Downers Grove, and I'm very excited to be a part of the community and to get actively involved moving forward. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to thank the board for their service and for the work that they're doing to provide diverse education for students of all backgrounds. I have worked for a number of Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies over 10 plus years in human resources, and I can say as an employer who has actively sought out diverse candidates and candidates who can work with diverse perspectives and backgrounds, that that type of education is something that I strongly value for the community I want to be a part of and the community that I have joined. It is very important, regardless of position, regardless of background, that you are able to represent and support and create diverse, inclusive, productive spaces for everybody to contribute to business results. And that's regardless of position or standing in the organization. So I wanted to keep my comments brief, but I wanted to voice my support for continuing to make sure that we are building future leaders and future employees that are going to contribute to the success of organizations I work for and others that I represent in the future. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Just want to make sure, got them all? All right, thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to communications and announcement. Jenny, do you have anything on Lund?
I do. We ended the school year on May 20th, the last meeting. We will resume in September, as far as I can tell. Because it was sort of the year in review, it was a recap of a lot of items. There were some that were Lund-related, such as dues, budget, subcommittee positions, et cetera, that aren't really relevant to the district. Looking forward, they will continue to monitor some student assessment requirement legislation, bills seeking to modify demographic reporting standards, graduation requirements, and comprehensive sex education standards. They're also monitoring a possible extension of time that may be allotted to schools to spend federal COVID relief funding. And then just as a side note, there were 5 students from DuPage County who were U.S. presidential scholars. There are 161 total nationwide, and all 5 from Illinois were from DuPage County.
Cool.
Fun fact.
Okay, Joanna could not be with us. I haven't heard any update on CSD. I think they've concluded their school year.
Yeah, they completed their school year. I know they're meeting with individual school districts. I don't know if we've had our meeting yet, but
Not yet.
over the next month or so, they have, they'll connect with us and have our year in review meeting with them.
Thank you. Terry, anything on the 99 Foundation?
Yes, as I told you last meeting, our event is going to be September 10th, and we've named the event. So it is, let me get there. It is the District 99 Foundation Block Party.
Okay.
And with this block party, it will be at North, and we are going to have games in one area. Bands are going to be playing in another area, and we're going to have food trucks. So it's a little bit for everyone.
What's the
And
date again?
it will be September 10th.
10th, I know we put it on here.
September 10th.
Yeah, there
And
it
it will
is.
be from 2 to 6:30.
2 to 6:30.
Yes. Yes. And so it should be a lot of fun, and I want you to use all of your efforts to send good weather. Because
Necessary.
it is going to be outdoors with no rain date. So
Okay.
it is what it is. So, anyway, put that down on your calendar, and that's what we're going to be working on this summer. So,
like fun.
really, there's not a lot going on except for that.
Sounds like fun, though.
Yes, yes, it should be fun, and it's a kind of welcome back to school, and there is no charge to get in. It will just be whatever you want to purchase from the food trucks and that. So
What's the goal? How many food trucks do you think?
we're looking at maybe 6 or 8.
Okay.
But there will not be any duplicates. So if we get one pizza vendor, that's all. We're gonna move on to another type of food. So if one ice cream truck, one, just so you
Early, 'cause
know.
if they run out, they run out.
It's on my calendar. I'm there. Food?
It's, yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really just a kind of a thank you to the community too for supporting us. Now, if you would like to donate and be a contributor to the food trucks or to the block party, you can do that. We will have sponsorship, and those will be put up. So,
Okay.
you know, if you would like to, you can contact us on the website, and we would be happy to.
Will there be music?
Well, that's what the bands are.
The bands are
There's
gonna-
gonna be
so the
different
bands-
bands. It's kind of like a
and some-
battle of the bands
Okay.
kind of thing where they set up and play and that.
Like local groups or?
Yeah, I think they're gonna go through, that group that's in Hinsdale. What is that? Isn't there-
Like a planner or something that they?
No,
help-
they're a group that gets different groups
Yeah, that's
to.
right. Okay.
An organizer.
Organizer, that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
yeah.
Okay.
So there'll be bands, and then, you know, I think maybe our high schools might want to have their band, you know,
That's what I'm thinking, maybe that
Come-
get
come and
something with
play, too.
Some of the students there.
yeah, yeah. So it should be a really fun
And
event.
some games too?
Yes, the
Maybe
games.
a dunk tank?
Well,
Don't look at me.
we kind of stayed
Yeah,
away
that
from
might
that
not be a
one.
good
Because,
The line would be too long.
Well, I'm thinking of money that could be made.
That's true, okay, well, you might convince
We've
your
got a
guy.
lot of haters out there, so,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Mike and
mean-
Well, you know, it'd be my luck, it'd only be 20 degrees. You know, but, no, we're gonna have, you know, different, I have a feeling there'll be the fish bowls. That might be-
So there will be things for little kids too in our community.
Yes,
Little
there's-
kids and big kids.
There's all kinds of things, and we're also having different student groups helping out, Key Club, you know, National Honor Society, those kind of kids will be
Terrific.
helping direct people and to help at the games and all of that. So we want to involve as
September
many.
10th, put it on your calendar.
Yes, yes. And so you'll be hearing more from me about that.
Excellent, good.
So, anyway, that'll be a great thing, and it's at North.
Thank you.
Okay, Chris,
September 10th.
Chris couldn't be here, but the Illinois Association of School Boards, I don't think there was anything new from them either.
The biggest thing is the transition from National Association of
Yeah.
School Boards to the, what is it?
I feel like
It's a new
starts with
group, I
C.
forget the
That's-
name, yeah,
starts
it's
with a
got
C.
multiple Cs in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
they're working on that over this summer, and you can expect to hear more as the next school year starts up. So we did not renew with National School Board Association. We're actually refunded for half of the year last year, once IASB left it. And then they just said to be on the lookout for information over the summer.
That technically happened when, do you recall? When did we leave?
Mid-year.
It was, yeah, it was several months ago, I think.
Oh, yeah.
so.
After the
Around the
letter.
first of the year,
Yeah,
probably.
so We haven't been part of the NSBA for.
quite a while.
Several months now.
Correct.
And and you said got back.
We received
money
our
for
refund, yeah.
enforcement. All
Okay.
right.
Our upcoming meeting, we will not have a workshop in July. We'll have the regular business meeting at 6:30 PM here on July 11th.
Take note, that's the second week of the month, right? Because of the 4th of July holiday and
Yes.
everything else.
Yeah.
So July 11th, make sure that that date's on your calendar.
With that, we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You want this one?
I'll second.
Harry and Jenny. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you,
Your
board
last-
members, for your service.
Your last adjournment, Ed.
Ed, you're free.
So I have to come back tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, come back tomorrow.